Yes.
Tell me like some of the common objections that you hear and what are like, how do you overcome them?
Yeah. So the most common one is just going to be, we don't work with Amazon sellers, or we don't want more Amazon sellers right now. And so everyone always say, how do you overcome objections? There's no like magic script that's going to overcome that objection. It's always about, and I literally had a conversation with this about someone earlier today, someone yesterday, and the day before that. Ask questions. You have to figure out why. So for example, if I just called you and you're a brand owner and you said, oh, don't want more Amazon sellers, I'm like, oh, totally get that. If I was in your shoes and my listings looked how yours looked, I wouldn't want more Amazon sellers either. But tell me about your experience with Amazon sellers and why you don't like them. Normally that'll open them up, and then they'll go on some rant about why they hate Amazon sellers. And there's tons of reasons that they could have given. And then you're like, oh yeah, Amazon sellers are, those kind of Amazon sellers are terrible. Let me tell you about why I'm different, and then the conversation goes from there.
I'm guessing like I'm seeing a lot of similarities with sales training. Like those conversations.
It's very much about sales. But the funny thing about doing wholesale the way that we're doing it is, even though it is about like sales, we're trying to sell the brand on letting us give them money.
Yeah. It's like, I'm trying to let you say yes to me giving you money.
Yes.
And I remember when wholesale, like not so wholesale, like the resale and the wholesale kind of like, this is like, I've been 8 years in the game now. Like 6 years ago, it was like, you could just call any brand and they would give you say yes, because like, they'd be like, oh, you want to give me money? Sure. But obviously the game's changed now. And now we've got to like convince them why we're going to be valuable, because like you say, they're getting thousands of calls. So you talked about, we don't want to work with Amazon sellers. What are some of the other objections that you hear, like some problems that you see?
Yeah. So again, hard nose would be like if you need a doctor's license, if they already have their own exclusive seller. That one is pretty hard, but not always hard, especially if their current exclusive seller is just doing a really bad job. But that might be something where, again, timing. If they have a 1-year contract, it's like, okay, well, I'll keep following up. And then maybe when that contract's up, you don't want to renew, and then you go with me, right? Another common one is brick and mortar store. And this is one that you get a lot, because this is how brands have figured out how to weed out Amazon sellers, which is really, really smart. So it's like, okay, well, you need to have a brick and mortar store, because if you have a brick and mortar store, then you're probably not an Amazon seller. So what do? We adapt. We partner with brick and mortar stores. And that's how we get the conversation started and get our foot in the door. And the other nice thing about partnering with brick and mortar sellers, and also brick and mortar stores, it opens up another sales channel for you. So now I can sell products online. I can sell them in a store. And I can use that when I approach brands. And it just shows, again, that it's like, okay, you're different than the other Amazon sellers. Like, you have a physical location. Sure, you're doing e-commerce. I'm not hiding the e-commerce. I'm not hiding behind the brick and mortar and never telling them that it's on Amazon. I wouldn't do that. But it's just another way of differentiating yourself from the crowd.
Interesting. No, I like that one. It's like, it's funny, especially like in the, obviously we do a lot of OA and the wholesale, and you see a lot of the distributed wholesalers like, sorry, you can only apply for account if you've got a brick and mortar. And it's a really good way to filter out people and say, it's easy to create a business nowadays to sell online. Like, you need like a couple $100 and you're fine. But brick and mortar store shows that you're at a different level, and it's a good way to filter. So completely understand that. You found your list of suppliers. You're starting reaching out a couple a day. You're getting on the calls. You're talking about what you want to buy. You're trying to overcome the objections. How do you move that conversation? And I'm guessing it probably won't be the first conversation. Like, you've probably maybe now bought some product, but now you're going to go back, and now you're like, hey, how do I move it from the I'm buying X quantity and obviously the price that we've agreed to now I want to start becoming a bit more of a better relationship? And I'm probably not going to be exclusive straight away. It's not going to be cool too, but like, what does that journey look like? Tell me about that.
Yeah. One of my favorite questions to ask is simply, what is your e-commerce strategy? And then if you've already bought once or twice, they'll probably give you some insight on that. And then you can specifically tailor it to like, well, what about Amazon? And then especially if you already have done the research and you're looking at a brand that has multiple resellers, that doesn't have a strategy, that isn't doing advertising, that doesn't have a good listing, then they're going to give you some sort of answer that's like, well, we're kind of, not really sure or whatever. And then that's where you can kind of start to bring in your pitch on what kind of services you can provide. But yeah, always asking questions. And
talk me through, so like, what does that pitch look like? So like, when you're having that conversation with someone like a brand, what are you pitching? How are you pitching it? And what does that, and how do you build credibility as well?
So for me, it's all about matching a service with the pain point. So, and that's why I like to ask the question, because I can see a pain point on Amazon. Like in my perspective, the biggest pain point this brand might be having is just they have way too many resellers, right? And that is just means there's no pricing control. But what the brand might actually be the most worried about is, oh, I just don't like how my pictures look. So if I'm going off and I just come in without asking them a question, I'm just like, oh, we can take care of all the resellers and, get your pricing fixed, and they don't care about that. Well, then that's a super weak pitch. But if they are all about the pictures, then it's like, okay, well, then I'll be like, if we can work out some sort of deal where it's semi-exclusive or exclusive, I'll do that for you for free. In fact, I'll start it right now and I'll get draft pictures ready by tomorrow, right? So it's about asking questions, figuring out what they care about the most, and then matching one or two services to that. Most often in my experience, the biggest pain point has been about unauthorized resellers or too many resellers, which just comes down to helping them get control of the supply chain, figuring out where they're selling, like getting a list of all the resellers so that way they can like match business info. Because sometimes they'll be like, oh my goodness, I thought that guy was a brick and mortar store. You're like, nope, he's just an Amazon seller and he's not selling anywhere else. I can almost guarantee you, right? So asking questions, figuring out what matters to them, and then matching a service to that.
Interesting. And so you're having the conversations, you're understanding the pain points, you're matching like really what they're doing, and you're talking about what you do and how you help, and obviously showing them evidence of that. Talk me through like the negotiation side of, okay, so I like you, I brought a couple of orders now, and you sound like you're going to solve some of the problems which are going to align with our strategy. And now you're kind of talking through, do you go straight into exclusive, or is there kind of like a layer before that? Like, hey, I want to reduce the numbers down. We're going to be that. Like, what does that look like, and how do you have that discussion?
Yeah. So oftentimes, and this is something that I kind of got from Jonah Hodges. So it kind of like just a prove it deal, essentially. So it's like, hey, this is what we're going to do for you. Like, we're going to stay in contact over the next couple months. This is what our goal is, just to like prove to you, that we actually know what we're talking about. So that's kind of how I like to start the negotiation is let's just look at this like a trial period, right? We're not signing a contract out the gate. Like, I'll kind of start doing these things for you on a handshake deal. And then assuming things go well, then this is where I want it to go. The other thing that you can do is start with just one ASIN. So oftentimes they'll have multiple ASINs, right? There's normally a best seller that all of the resellers want to buy. Everyone wants to get a piece of the pie of the product that's doing the most. But it's like, hey, I'll take 1, 2, or 3 of your not so good ASINs. I won't even ask you about the best selling one because that one's already overstocked. I'll just focus on these. And then if I can prove it here, then I'll start to kind of take over the whole brand.
And that
or
process
even
works quite well.
Another one is if they have a bestseller that's on Amazon, but that's the only product that's on Amazon, and they have a second bestseller that also does well on their website but isn't on Amazon, offering to create that listing for them, because then it creates new revenue. So again, you're not just kind of leeching off of what's already there. You're already helping to grow them. So even just doing that proves to them it's like, hey, I'm interested in like helping you grow and not just taking what's already there.